71-year-old lady fell in love with 17-year-old boy at her son's funeral. When a woman who was 71 years old attended the funeral of her son and saw a 17-year-old boy, she immediately recognized that he was the one she'd been waiting for. After some time had passed, the young man got down on one knee in front of the lady and proposed that they get married. The one-of-a-kind tale exemplifies, more than anything else, the truth that age is just a number when it comes to finding a life companion. Gary and Almeda Hardwick have the mindset that age differences are irrelevant. As soon as they tied the knot, many of their acquaintances began to condemn them due to the 54-year age gap that existed between them. It appeared as though the individuals in their immediate environment disapproved of their choice to marry one another. The light at the end of Almeda's tunnel. Following the tragic death of her husband, Almeda Errol, who had been married for 43 years at the time, had given up all chances of ever falling in love again. She'd reconciled herself to the idea of spending the rest of her life as a widow. Her son, who was 45 years old and had not been in poor health, unexpectedly went away due to a seizure while she was still attempting to gain a grip on herself. For some individuals, this may appear to be the end of everything. But for Almeda, it was different. For Almeda, it was the beginning of something new. The loss of her son helped her see the light at the end of the tunnel, something she had previously been unaware of. At the funeral for her kid, she saw the person she believed to be her soulmate for the first time. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be inspired by these real-life stories on a daily basis. Now, let's return to the story. The funeral. One of the worst things that can happen to someone is for them to lose two members of their family within a short period of time. Almeda was still in the process of grieving the loss of her husband when she received the news that her son had also passed away. At the funeral, she spoke to a large number of people, but the only one she can recall is one particular individual because of the smile he wore. The fact that Gary Hardwick was younger than both of her sets of grandchildren brought back fond memories of her own youth. At the funeral, she recalled, he had a smile on his face and was looking at her. It was like a ray of sunshine in the midst of the darkness. After parting up with his 77-year-old lover a few months later, Gary's aunt reintroduced him to Almeda. Almeda was also a few months older than Gary. Everyone in his family was aware of the fact that he had a thing for much older ladies. Upon the couple's first official meeting, there was an instant connection between them, and they realized they were destined to be together. They overcame their anxiety long enough to talk about the things that interested them and the decisions that they had made. During the course of their conversation, Almeda made the decision to be forthright and inquired as to whether or not he liked her in spite of the age gap between them. The young man took her hand, flashed her a grin, and informed her that he was completely on board. After dating for a few weeks, young Gary proposed to his girlfriend by getting down on one knee while holding her hand and asking her if she'd like to spend the rest of her life with him. Almeda was honest about how she felt about her young boyfriend and shared the following. "Because I was alone, God sent him to be my companion," she said. After the passing of her husband, she'd been yearning for someone to share the rest of her life with, and she found that person in Gary. It appeared as though Gary was the ideal man for her in every way that she could have wished for. They tied the knot. Gary and Almeda exchanged their vows in front of their respective families on October 26, 2015, and became husband and wife. As a result of the fact that they tied the knot 6 days before Gary's 18th birthday, Gary's mother granted her assent to the marriage on his behalf. Gary declared that he couldn't wait for another 6 days to get married, so he wed his high school sweetheart before he turned 18 years old. He had the impression that they were meant for one another. The unusual couple. When friends and family of the couple found out that they were getting married, they responded in a variety of different ways. Gary claims that the vast majority of people were pleased for them. On the other hand, there were many who thought that he had married an older woman in order to gain access to her assets and wealth. They were unaware of the fact that Gary had never dated girls his own age, despite the fact that he'd always admired older women. When he finally shared images from his wedding ceremony a day later, the majority of his Facebook friends were taken aback by the news. They were taken aback when he announced his engagement so quickly, especially to a much more senior woman. Age is just a number. People on the internet were not happy about it, in contrast to the majority of their family, who were glad for them despite knowing that there was a significant age gap between them. Gary and Almeida host a YouTube channel together on which they discuss various aspects of their lives and read viewers' harsh comments about them. They have a good chuckle and continue on with their lives, secure in the knowledge that they love each other very much. Without giving any thought to the reactions of the audience, Gary said, "Love cannot be measured in terms of time." Isn't it true that age is nothing but a number? The story of Mr. and Mrs. Hardwick demonstrates that it's not uncommon for individuals to discover their soulmates in a different age bracket. It's not an issue if you don't make a connection with the person who will become your better half when you're in high school. They'd be awaiting your arrival at some point in the future. What are your thoughts? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.